In the fading light of a busy city, as the last golden rays yielded to a gray evening, the metropolis revealed two sharply contrasting worlds. On one side, glittering skyscrapers and lavish establishments testified to wealth and success. On the other, neglected alleys and crowded sidewalks whispered stories of hardship and neglect. Amid the polished strides of well-dressed commuters and the gentle hum of luxury cars, a desperate cry shattered the calm. "Don't eat. Your wife has poisoned it." That anguished shout came from Lyra, a street girl whose life had been forged on the harsh pavements. Barefoot and clad in tattered clothes, she bore the scars of endless hunger and abandonment. For years, she had wandered these unforgiving streets, her existence dismissed by a society that prized appearances over empathy. Yet, in that fateful moment, her seemingly fragile voice surged with an unyielding determination to warn against impending doom. Inside the sterling, an upscale restaurant, Silas Vanderbilt, renowned for his success and refined taste, sat surrounded by opulence. Dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, he prepared to enjoy a meticulously crafted meal, a dish symbolizing both culinary artistry and his high status. But as Silas lifted his fork to take a bite, his confident expression gave way to horror. His eyes widened, his face paled, and violent convulsions overtook him as a deadly toxin began its cruel work. Lyra's cry rang out again, more desperate this time. "Don't eat. Your wife put poison in it." Yet her plea was drowned in the chaos, shattered glass, clattering silverware, and the panicked murmurs of the elegant patrons who were suddenly caught in a nightmare. In that instant, the polished facade of wealth cracked, revealing the fragile core of human mortality. Silas, once a symbol of power, was reduced to a trembling, pained figure as the poison ravaged his body. His eyes, filled with disbelief and agony, seemed to plead for salvation from an unimaginable fate. Without hesitation, Lyra plunged into the tumult. Despite her trembling hands and the weakness that years on the street had inflicted, every fiber of her being was focused solely on saving the man before her. "Sir, hold on. I'm here to help you," she cried, her voice cutting through the panic. With determined urgency, she grasped Silas's hand, her touch gentle yet resolute, and managed to pull him away from the table and into the darkening night. Outside, the rain-washed streets glistened under neon lights, casting long, wavering shadows on the pavement. Lyra's journey became a desperate race against time, as she navigated through obstacles both physical and societal. Drunken youths blocked her path with raucous laughter, stray dogs barked in the distance, and indifferent onlookers hurried by without a glance of compassion. Yet every challenge only steeled her resolve further. Clutching Silas's hand as if it were a lifeline, she maneuvered through narrow alleys and hidden side streets, each step carrying the heavy burden of a life balanced on the edge. Meanwhile, Silas's condition worsened. His once vibrant face now took on a ghastly shade of purple as spasms racked his body. Amid the pain, Lyra softly whispered words of encouragement, each syllable a fragile beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. "Please, sir, try to hold on. We're almost there. Help is coming." After numerous harrowing obstacles, Lyra and Silas finally found brief refuge in a small convenience store. Under harsh fluorescent lights and among neatly arranged shelves, the store offered little comfort, yet it granted them a pause from the relentless storm outside. The startled owner, shocked by the sight of a determined girl carrying a nearly collapsed man, began to protest, but Lyra's urgent plea silenced him. "Please, just give us a few minutes. He's been poisoned, and we need to wait until it's safe to leave." Despite the fatigue in her voice, her tone carried the authority of one who had fought for survival every day. Yet even in this cramped space, the threat of discovery loomed. Outside, the flashing lights of patrolling police cars danced ominously on the windows, a stark reminder that time was slipping away. Lyra prayed that this temporary shelter would hold long enough for her to get Silas to a hospital, a place where modern medicine might still rescue him, and where the truth of that dreadful night could eventually emerge. But time was merciless. With every passing moment, Silas weakened, inching closer to the edge. With no other choice, Lyra gathered her dwindling strength and stepped back into the cold, indifferent night. The race to the hospital was a gauntlet of uncertainty, each block fraught with danger, every shadow a potential threat. At last, the bright, sterile lights of the hospital emerged as a beacon of hope. Yet even there, hope was tempered by harsh reality. A stern security guard, his face set in a scowl and his eyes full of disdain as they took in Lyra's disheveled appearance and Silas's frail state, blocked their entry. "This isn't a place for beggars," he barked, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Please, he's been poisoned. He needs help." Lyra pleaded, her voice rising with desperation. But the guard's grip tightened, a physical manifestation of the prejudice that had long defined her world. Soon, Lyra was dragged into a stark interrogation room by uniformed officers. Under the harsh fluorescent lights and before a cold metal table, she found herself surrounded by skeptical eyes. "Tell us exactly what happened," an officer demanded curtly. "Why were you at the Sterling, and what did you see?" Though her heart pounded painfully, Lyra recounted every detail of that fateful night with raw honesty. She described the luxurious dining room, the moment she saw Grace Vanderbilt, so impeccably dressed yet oddly out of place, secretly pour a dark liquid into Silas's dish, and the ensuing terror as Silas convulsed in agony. Each word she spoke was a cry for justice, a testament to a truth that could no longer be denied. No sooner had she finished her account than the interrogation room door swung open, and enstrode Grace Vanderbilt herself, dressed in a striking red dress. With an air of feigned sorrow and cold arrogance, she declared, "I have been informed that my husband was brought here after falling gravely ill, and I demand to know what this beggar has done to him." Despite the weight of Grace's accusations, Lyra remained steadfast. "I only wanted to save him," she said softly, though her voice trembled. "I saw you, Mrs. Vanderbilt, adding poison to his food. I cried out to help him, but no one listened." Outside, the night pressed on relentlessly. The distant wail of sirens, the flickering streetlights, and the murmurs of an indifferent city reminded Lyra that every second counted. Each heartbeat was a prayer, a vow that she would not let prejudice or silence smother the truth. In time, the undeniable evidence, security footage, forensic reports, and corroborating witness testimonies emerged, forcing authorities to launch a full-scale investigation. The case of Silas Vanderbilt's poisoning could no longer be ignored, and the once pristine reputation of Grace Vanderbilt began to crumble under the weight of the truth. The matter quickly escalated to a major trial. Under intense media scrutiny and in a courtroom filled with a public demanding justice, Silas Vanderbilt, still fragile but resolute, took the stand. "I will forever be grateful to the brave girl from the streets who saved my life," he declared, his voice trembling with emotion as he locked eyes with Lyra. His testimony, bolstered by the overwhelming evidence and Lyra's unwavering account, left no room for doubt. In that historic moment, the court delivered a severe verdict. Grace Vanderbilt was found guilty of poisoning Silas, and her carefully constructed facade of charity and refinement shattered completely. Justice had finally been served, proving that no one, regardless of wealth or status, was above the law. In the aftermath, Silas slowly recovered with the help of dedicated medical care and a community awakened to the value of every life. Lyra's courageous story ignited a wave of change, sparking public rallies, inspiring reforms, and opening long-overdue conversations about the rights of the underprivileged. Addressing a modest gathering at a community center, Lyra spoke softly yet firmly, "I was born in darkness, but even the smallest voice can light a path to justice. Today, we have shown that the truth cannot be silenced and that every life, no matter how humble, is priceless." Her words resonated deeply, reminding everyone that courage and truth could indeed transform society. And so, beneath a hopeful sky heralding change, the tale of A Cry in the Shadows came to a close, a powerful testament that no matter one's origins, the unyielding voice of truth can bring about a world of justice and compassion.